my channel. This video right here is going to be a little bit different. This is just going to be like an informational type video. I just want to give you guys some information about the different types of interviews that you will have with a work from home job. One type of interview will of course be a phone interview, which you could have with a recruiter. And another interview type will be a video interview where you would do like Skype or a web conference type thing. In the video interview, you can be speaking to a recruiter and it'll be like a Skype session. You'll see the recruiter and the recruiter will see you. Another type of interview that you could have is a recorded video interview. And this type of interview can have two parts. You can have where you're answering some questions. Of course, you're not being recorded while you're typing your answers to the questions and reading the questions. And then they can have a portion of the interview where they'll ask you a question and they'll record your response via video. Okay, so you'll definitely need a webcam, or a lot of times with those type of interviews, you can use your phone. So when you apply and you're considered for a work from home job, those are pretty much the type of interviews that you may have. In my experience, most interviews are conducted by phone, but like I said, it could go either way. So in the most common one, which is a phone interview, recruiter will set a time that's convenient for you to call you and speak about the position. Now, I encourage you guys, whenever you get this type of interview, that you already have your resume in front of you, because they are going to ask you questions about your resume. And you want to be able to answer those questions and have those dates ready and available for them. You don't want to have to go look for your resume, or you want to just be able to use your resume as a reference point when they ask you questions, because that's pretty much what they're going to be asking you about, your resume, okay, and your work experience. Another thing is you need to make sure that you have a quiet environment when you're doing a phone interview. You don't want your dogs barking or your kids in the background making noise or anything like that. So make sure that when you schedule this interview, that you schedule it at a time that's going to be convenient for you, where you will not be distracted, because 99% of the work from home companies state that they need for you to have a quiet work environment, and that is something that they're going to be listening out for when they call you for that interview. So definitely don't just try to schedule an interview just to get an interview when you know that it's not really a good time, but you want the job so bad that you just schedule it anyway. You need to make sure that you schedule it for a time that's convenient, where your house is going to be quiet, or if you have to go to your car, or whatever you have to do, make sure that it's quiet in your home and distraction free when you are doing your interview. Okay, so that is definitely important. Make sure that your phone is charged. You would hate for your phone to die while you're in the process of an interview. And make sure that you have a good cell connection. Make sure that you're in an area with a strong signal, or whatever the case may be. Like I said, you don't want any type of interruptions or distractions with your interview. So those are a couple things that are super important in a phone interview. And make sure that you speak up and you speak with confidence. You still have to speak professionally even though you're at home. Of course, once you get more comfortable with the recruiter, y'all can laugh and joke and all of that, but you still want to maintain a professional demeanor even though you're at home. Okay, so that's definitely super important. And one of the most important things, and this is going to be important no matter what type of interview you do, be prepared to answer the question, tell me a little bit about yourself. That's universal for any job that you get. They're going to ask you that. So definitely be prepared to answer that question, answer it with confidence. You may want to practice answering that question on your own, because they're definitely going to ask you that, and that goes across the board for all of the type of interviews that you'll have. Okay, so yeah, so those are some of the most important points for the phone interview. And if you do that, you have your resume handy, you speak professionally, your background is quiet, you just seem confident, you'll definitely most likely get the job. Unless it's just not for you, you'll definitely get it. Being that they're calling you and they're considering you, you already have one foot in the door. So that interview is definitely your chance to go ahead and get everything finalized. Okay, so yeah, so next up we have the video interview, and this is going to be the video interview where you speak face to face via video with a recruiter. So one of the most important things, of course, with that is your appearance. Of course you're at home, so they don't expect you to be in a three-piece suit, or they don't expect you to be in business attire, but you still need to be professional. I would suggest a polo shirt, or just a shirt where you're covered up, not really a t-shirt, but a shirt where you're covered up. Like I wouldn't have an interview like this with my tattoos out or anything like that, but you know, you definitely want to make sure that you're covered up in something, and then just make sure that your hair is groomed. You don't have to, you know, have it all dolled up or anything, but just make sure that your hair is groomed. And one important thing in this type of interview is you want to make sure that your background is neat, clear, and clean. Okay, I have backgrounds and backdrops, so I've always kind of used those for my work from home job interviews, but everybody doesn't have that, which is understandable. So just make sure that it's clean. Like, just make sure that it's clean behind you. Go to an area of your house that doesn't look cluttered. Believe it or not, they're going to be looking at all that. Like, they know that you're at home, but they still want you to be professional, so they're going to be looking at your background and all of that type of stuff. So make sure that it's clutter free and neat. Also, make sure with the same with the phone interview, you want to make sure that, you know, your kids are not running around, you don't have the music up loud or anything like that. You know, you want to make sure that it's a nice, quiet environment, and you just want to make sure that you exude confidence. Like I said, you have to be confident even when you're not confident. You have to pretend like you're confident. Like, that's just what you have to do. I mean, it's just no other way around it. Just look up and make eye contact. Even though it's a video, you can still make eye contact. Make eye contact with the recruiter. You may want to have your resume to the side or in front of you somewhere where you can kind of look at it, because you don't want to stumble over your resume. You don't want to stumble over anything that they may ask you in reference to your resume, because it may look like you've lied, you know. So and if you've lied, you know, you don't want them to know that. So, you know, have your resume, whether it's a bootleg resume or your real resume, have it in front of you, ready to go, ready to answer questions, and ready to, you know, proceed with confidence. Okay, so yeah, last but not least, we have the video / question answering interview. The video portion of it goes with what I was saying before with the face-to-face video interview. You know, you want to make sure your appearance is on point. You want to make sure your background is okay. You want to make sure that you're in a distraction-free environment. And as far as like the question answering point, like I said, they're going to have you answer questions via the computer. And sometimes it's like math questions, you know, or scenario questions. Most of the time with these type of interviews, they give you time limits. So you definitely want to make sure that you answer within the time limits. But at the same time, take your time and answer the questions thoroughly. Like I said, this is one of the easiest of the interviews because you're not under any pressure. You can answer the questions without being like put on the spot or anything like that. So make sure that you take the time to do that. Now, I gotta be honest with you. One time on one of those question / video interviews, they had like a math question and it was really, really hard. I Googled it and I got the answer that way. So you do what you gotta do to, you know, pass that portion of that interview. Between that portion and the video section of that type of interview, they're going to make the decision on whether to hire you or not. So definitely make sure that you answer those questions, you know, and like I said, you can take a little bit more time and answer those questions to the best of your ability. If you're not quite sure about something, like what a word means or a vocabulary type thing, or like if it seems like a trick question, you can always Google it and I'm pretty much sure the answer will be there for you. Okay, so that is definitely something that you can do. And, you know, if you do that, you know, you should do pretty well. Okay, so overall, that is really it, you guys. If you have any questions or comments, you can always leave those below. And as usual, you guys know that I will be back to you guys when there are more work from home jobs available. In the meanwhile, I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.